Chapter 2780. Page 1/1. No matter how Yun Jian tried to explain, Ce refused to listen. He pressed her against the window that was not closed and the curtains were not drawn, causing her legs to wobble. Yun Jian knew that Ce did not suspect her. Those were all excuses. What he really wanted was to be with her. Cough. 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 Mama Papa, Mama Papa. It was 8 o'clock at night that Yun Jian went to bed. Just as she was let off by Ce, the children's babbling came from downstairs. Ce's brows were tightly knitted together. Yun Jian saw how Ce's expression darkened, looking like he was about to rush up and beat up the children just by hearing their voices. She kissed Ce and Ce's expression eased. "I'll go take a look," Yun Jian told Ce and opened the door. Qin Yiru was already at the door with the children in her arms. After the children were born, Qin Yiru was the one who took care of them. Xiao Yunju, Qin Yiru, and Gu Yunjian's children were all taken care of by Qin Yiru. Of course, all of them were fed until they were plump and chubby. "Xiao Jian, your dad and I have signed up for a spring outing for the elderly in our neighborhood. We're leaving for the province tomorrow. Take care of the kids for 2 days first. I'll take care of Yuan and Mingyu when I'm back," Qin Yiru told Yun Jian. The villa neighborhood where Qin Yiru lived would organize a spring outing for the elderly every spring. In short, it was a spring outing for all the elderly in the neighborhood. The elderly who lived here usually came from well-to-do families, so they would usually go out for a few days. "Okay, Mom. Have fun with Dad," Yun Jian promised as she took the little boy and the girl. "Yay! Sleep with Daddy and Mommy. Sleep with Daddy and Mommy," the little boy exclaimed excitedly when he was carried to the bed. The little guy could already speak some common words. The girl was slower to learn than the child, but she could already say some simple words. "Stinky." When he was carried to Yun Jian and Ce's bed, the girl kicked the child and snorted. Stinky meant stinky older brother. The child did not make a fuss or whine to make a fuss when he was kicked. If it was Zhou Ran, the little guy would have already rushed over to fight with Zhou Ran. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian came back to take the girls and the children to leave to their own to take Yun Jian to the Yun Jian. Ce returned to Anhun as well. Yun Jian went back to study at the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Yun Jian was in her 4th year and was about to graduate. The 4th year was a busy time. Yun Jian did not go to school and only attended in name. In the last few months of her 4th year, the school required her to stay in school. That was why Yun Jian went back to school. She studied in school for a few days. When she came out of the martial arts club, she was followed by members of the martial arts club and many other students. Everything was fine. However, when Yun Jian came back to the university a few days ago, Peter, who was caught by Yun Jian stealing a treasure from Z country's Zhe province and was later invited to join the kosher mercenaries, kept pestering her. As a matter of fact, Pete, who had been pestering Yun Jian for a few days after leaving the martial arts club, suddenly appeared and chased after her. In front of the martial arts club members and all the college students who passed by, he yelled at Yun Jian and made a big fuss about stealing. He was blatant about it. "Snake. Lizard said that I can ask you to teach me things after I've been in the organization for 3 years. This is the privilege of the higher-ups. So hurry up and teach me how to steal. Hurry up and teach me the safest way to steal without being discovered." Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2781. As soon as Peter came over, Yun Jian kicked him into the smelly ditch. Brother, you're here again? But I suggest you go to a mental hospital to have your head checked. Why did you have to learn how to steal?" Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club had seen Peter more than once. He scratched his head and stuck out his tongue before speaking to Peter. He obviously treated Peter as a mental patient. Who would beg the Ren school to steal in broad daylight? Zhou Huntao shook his head with a helpless expression. "Go back and stay." Yun Jian glanced at Peter indifferently and said in a flat tone. Hearing this, Peter knew that Yun Jian wanted to chase him away. He quickly climbed out of the ditch and shouted at Yun Jian, "Don't! I've been in the organization for so many years and haven't improved at all. I can't take it anymore. Hurry up and teach me. Hurry!" Peter was a godly thief who pursued improvement. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to join the kosher mercenaries. 5 years. He didn't expect Yun Jian to suddenly speak up. What? Peter was stunned. Add another 5 years to your contract. Other than me, no one else in this world is your match. Yun Jian stated her conditions and also gave him benefits. At the same time, she curled her lips. Of course, she was referring to the area of godly thieves. As long as Peter agreed, no one else would be his match. The conversation between the two of them stunned the surrounding people. They couldn't understand what they were talking about at all. Finally, after Peter received Yun Jian's promise, he returned to the kosher mercenaries with satisfaction. After staying in Jiangqing City for 2 days, Yun Jian left the school with Mo Bufan and Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club. She was about 14 years old and had 2 rustic ponytails standing across the street from the school. She waved her hand and called out, "Sister! Sister Yun Jian!" When Zhou Huntao saw this, he glanced at Yun Jian and smiled wretchedly. "Yo, President, who's that little girl who's calling you so enthusiastically? Do you know her?" Yun Jian stared at the 14-year-old girl across the street. She paused for 2 seconds before nodding. Yes, she knew him. At this moment, the young lady on the other side of the road had already looked left and right. Seeing that there were no cars around, she ran over. It was Lu Ying. Back then, Yun Jian represented the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China in Jiangqing Normal University, and went to the countryside to teach in the poor mountainous areas. She stayed at Lu Ying's house for 7 days. The little girl, Lu Ying, and her younger brother, Lu Shi, had always lived with their grandmother. Back then, it was Yun Jian who helped them find their mother, who had been imprisoned by the gang leader. The little girl, Lu Ying, was only 11 years old at that time. In the blink of an eye, she was already 14 years old. The little girl, Lu Ying, had always remembered Yun Jian and wanted to leave the mountains. Her academic performance was excellent. When she was in junior high school, she was in the top 3 in the entire H province. After the results of junior high school came out, it caused a sensation in H province. Countless schools threw football at the little girl, Lu Ying, wanting to invite her to enter junior high school to fulfill her wish of leaving the mountains and waive all the tuition fees. Unexpectedly, Lu Ying chose to come to Jiangqing City in Zhejiang province to study in junior high school where Yun Jian studied. However, junior high school in Zhejiang province did not waive tuition fees. Fortunately, the government subsidized it, so Lu Ying took the subsidy and worked at a junior high school in Jiangqing City. Compared to the 11-year-old Lu Ying 3 years ago, she had grown to be very lively. She was almost 1.6 meters tall. After running over from across the street, Lu Ying handed the cake she had brought back from work to Yun Jian and said shyly to Yun Jian, "Sister Yun Jian, this is for you." Chapter 2782. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. "Yo, little girl, you're quite pretty." Zhou Huntao whistled. This action made Lu Ying's face turn red. "Have you learned the martial arts moves in the past 2 days? I'll check them one by one later. If you don't know, run around Jiangqing City." Yun Jian saw Zhou Huntao flirting with Lu Ying and kicked him lightly. No, President, I'll go right away. I'll go right away." Zhou Huntao staggered forward. As he ran, he turned his head and left Lu Ying a cool gesture. "Little girl, come to our school more often and eat more. I'll wait for you to grow up." As he spoke, he ran away with a group of students from the martial arts club. "President, we'll take our leave first," Mo Bufan said to Yun Jian and followed them. Lu Ying was left behind with a red face. Lu Ying's clothes were very shabby, and her clothes were patched with rags. Her twin ponytails were also very rustic, but she looked very pure. Because she was thin, the tight pants and tights were loose on her body and couldn't hold them up. Yun Jian took good care of Lu Ying when she came to Jiangqing City. After all, the little girl came here because of her. "Are you used to living here?" Yun Jian saw that the people from the martial arts club had left. She turned to Lu Ying and asked, "Yes, I'm very used to it. I used to yearn to live in a big city. Now that I'm in school, my classmates are very good to me. Even the manager of the cake shop," Lu Ying said with a smile. Her tone was relaxed. The manager of the cake shop was the one that Lu Ying worked for. "Yes." Yun Jian nodded. In the end, she took out a black pen from her trouser pocket and wrote a phone number on Lu Ying's hand. "Remember to lend me your phone if you need anything." "Okay. Thank you, Sister Yunjian. But I'll be fine. Lu Ying held the phone number that Yunjian wrote for her tightly in her hand. Then, Sister Yunjian, I'll go to work first. Lu Ying said, waving at Yunjian. She bared her teeth, turned around, and ran away. Seeing this, Yunjian pursed her lips and turned to walk towards the headquarters of the martial arts club. Lu Ying was working at the cake shop. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when she got off work. Today, the cake shop owner had just given Lu Ying a month's salary. 500 yuan. Because it was a temporary job, the pay was not much, but for Lu Ying, it was already very good. Holding this sum of money, Lu Ying already had a plan in her heart. She wanted to buy a birthday present for Yunjian. Although Yunjian's birthday had already passed, she did not make it in time. This time, Lu Ying planned to give Yunjian a surprise. For some people, 500 yuan might be half a month's pocket money or 1 or 2 months' pocket money. But to Lu Ying, it was a huge number. She had to save a small portion and send it back to her hometown in H Province, Wuzhen, for her mother, brother, and grandmother as living expenses. He left a little for his living expenses. Then, he would buy a present for Yunjian. Holding the 500 yuan, Lu Ying lowered her head and smiled slightly. She turned a corner and walked in the direction of the school. She had always lived in the school. But the moment Lu Ying turned the corner, she suddenly saw a few young men standing at the corner with a few baseballs and iron rods in their hands. Lu Ying instinctively stopped in her tracks. Just as she was about to turn around and take the long way back to the school, she saw that these young men with baseballs and iron rods had already surrounded her. One of them even pointed at the money she was protecting in her arms and blackmailed her confidently. Hey, little girl. You're a student of Jiangqing Junior High School, right? Just now. We saw that the shop you worked at gave you a salary? Hee hee. We're a little short on money recently, so lend us some money to spend. In the future, we'll take care of you in Jiangqing. Whoever dares to bully you is bullying us. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2783. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. 15 days later. Yunjian had just stepped out of the school gates. In another month or two, Yunjian would be graduating from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. This also meant that her school life was about to come to an end. Yunjian grew up in an Hun group. Although she did not have the chance to study from elementary school to the second year of junior high, she would still go to school in her free time from junior high to senior year. Even though she did not go to school every day like the others, it could be considered as making up for the time she could not go to school. Now, she was about to graduate. She was looking forward to it. Hey, President, are you going back to your hometown this week? I heard your hometown is in Longmen City and you have to take the bus from the station? Let's go back together. Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club caught up to Yunjian just as she stepped out of the school gates. Yunjian did not stop walking as she nodded. Oh right, why hasn't the little girl who gave you cake 2 weeks ago come back after so many days? Zhou Huntao could not help thinking of Lu Ying. Yunjian's eyes darkened when she heard that. The place where Lu Ying worked was a cake shop near the station. When she passed by, Yunjian did not see Lu Ying, who was usually busy in the shop. I'll go take a look, Yunjian said to Zhou Huntao and entered the shop. Oh, I'll go too, Zhou Huntao said and followed her in. The manager of the cake shop was a middle-aged man nearing his 40s. When he heard Yunjian asking about Lu Ying, his expression changed. After leaving the cake shop, Yunjian went straight to the city hospital. Something had happened to Lu Ying. That night 15 days ago, she was extorted by a group of boys from a nearby university when she had just been paid 500 yuan. Lu Ying would rather die than hand over the 500 yuan because to her, it was not only her living expenses for the next month, but it was also the living expenses of her mother, brother, and grandmother who lived in the poor countryside. Just walking from the village to the school took 2 hours. When the group of boys from the nearby university saw that Lu Ying refused to hand over the money no matter what, they felt that they had lost face. Thus, they started to beat and kick Lu Ying. Originally, he just wanted to let Lu Ying know how powerful he was. However, he did not expect that he would accidentally hit Lu Ying's head with the iron rod. Lu Ying was knocked unconscious on the spot. The group of boys was so scared that they ran away. If Lu Ying had not been discovered by a passerby, Lu Ying would have died on the spot. Later, He was sent to the hospital for treatment and his life was no longer in danger. However, he was still severely concussed and had some sequelae. Lu Ying's mother was far away in H province. The cake shop owner said that Lu Ying's form teacher, Teacher Zhou, had gone to the police station on behalf of Lu Ying's parents. She said that she had found the boys who had committed the crime and was dealing with them. Yun Jian did not choose to return to Longmen City. She went to the hospital and went to the local police station after seeing that Lu Ying had fallen asleep. When Zhou Huntao found out about this, he didn't go home. Instead, he hurriedly left with Yun Jian. As soon as he arrived, he saw a woman standing at the door talking on the phone. This woman was none other than Teacher Zhou, the form teacher who had represented Lu Ying's parents in suing the boys who had committed the crime. According to the nurses in the hospital, it was Teacher Zhou who had paid for Lu Ying's medical fees. Just as Yun Jian arrived, a few boys walked out of the police station, looking mighty and arrogant. "Ha, I knew it. What can happen? We didn't hurt the girl on purpose. She's severely concussed and not dying. Can't we just get my mom to compensate us?" That scared me. I thought something big was going to happen. Great. Now we have a reason to ask for more money from our parents. F***CK, we can't even afford to treat our girlfriends when we go out these few days. How embarrassing in front of a bunch of girls. The boys chatted with their arms around each other's shoulders as they walked out of the police station, looking like they were in a sloppy mood. That was right. These boys were the ones who had hurt Lu Ying. Judging by their behavior, they did not seem to have any intention of admitting their mistake. They even acted as if their injuries were not serious enough, and even the police had no right to care about them. Stop right there. After Teacher Zhou finished her call, she walked over to stop the boys. What's wrong, old woman? Among them, the most arrogant boy glanced at Teacher Zhou with a contemptuous expression and spoke rudely. My student was injured by you and sent to the hospital. Aren't you going to apologize and repent? Teacher Zhou was angry and wanted to reason with this group of people. Get out of the way. Old woman. If you speak again, I'll hit you too. After the most arrogant boy said this, he waved his fist but did not really hit her. After that, he clicked his tongue and led the group of people in another direction. Just as he glanced over, he saw a young girl in her early 20s. The young girl was wearing a tight white top and tight jeans, which accentuated her slim and seductive figure. The boy's eyes immediately lit up. The rather arrogant boy whistled and asked, Little girl, which school are you from? Which school? Before he could finish his sentence, Yun Jian raised her leg and kicked the boy's chin. The boy fell to the ground with his back facing the ground in a second. In the next second, Yun Jian stepped on the boy's head in front of the group of boys, Teacher Zhou, and Zhou Huntao. She looked coldly at the group of boys who had extorted Lu Ying and retaliated with the same extortion method. I'm Yun Jian, the president of the Martial Arts Society of Jiangqing University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. I'll give you two choices now. First, give me 1 million and you can get out of my sight. Second, I'll send you to the hospital for free. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2784. 1 million. Who could afford this amount of money? Otherwise, they wouldn't have tried to extort money from Lu Ying. This group of boys did indeed have some money, but at most, they were the kind that cared for food and clothing. Moreover, boys at this age loved to play. Their parents had restricted their children's pocket money, so this group of boys couldn't spend lavishly in front of girls. They felt that it was embarrassing, so they tried to extort money. 1 million. What a joke. If we could afford this amount of money, we could still extort that little thing from 2 days ago. You're just here to pick a fight. Seeing that Yun Jian had stepped on one of their own, a boy with red, yellow and blue hair, who was about the same height as Yun Jian, was shocked by Yun Jian's fierce moves. Obviously, he didn't know that Yun Jian was here for the little thing he mentioned, Lu Ying. Congratulations, you guessed right. I'm here to pick a fight. This is a big gift for you. He thought that Yun Jian would stop. Unexpectedly, as soon as she retracted her foot from the boy's head, she kicked the boy with red, yellow and blue hair, sending him flying 10 meters away. Hey, President, how dare this group of people bully a cute little girl? I'll help you beat them up. At most, we'll go to the police station. I'll show you the power of the Martial Arts Club of the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Seeing this, Zhou Huntao didn't look at Lu Ying's homeroom teacher, Teacher Zhou, who wanted to stop the group fight. He rushed up and clenched his fist, ready to fight. However, just as Zhou Huntao was about to clench his fist, the group of boys who hurt Lu Ying were already lying on the ground, covering the places where they were kicked. They looked at Yun Jian as if they had seen a monster and howled in pain. After leaving the police station, Yun Jian walked to the hospital. "Hey, President, you should have beaten up that group of scumbags a few more times just now so that they won't forget you." Zhou Huntao followed behind Yun Jian and kept talking, until the two of them entered Lu Ying's ward. At this time, Lu Ying had already woken up. However, she was looking out of the window, and no one knew what she was thinking. Seeing Yun Jian and Zhou Huntao enter the house, Lu Ying opened her mouth. She was no longer as spirited as before. She looked a little disappointed. "Sister, why is the outside world so different from our world? Grandma said that although the people in our world are poor, they would rather starve to death than steal or rob. Grandma said that the era her grandfather lived in was really poor. At that time, it was dry and there was no rain in 4 seasons. The harvest of a year was not enough to eat. My great-grandfather starved to death. But even at the last moment, he didn't have the intention to steal people's money and food. Why? Shouldn't all the children in the village yearn for the outside world, the big city, be very friendly and peaceful? Why was it that when she came here, she suddenly realized that the perfect world that everyone was looking forward to was actually not so perfect? Were their expectations all this time right or wrong? As president, what does this little girl mean? Why can't I understand?" Zhou Huntao scratched his head and asked while standing behind Yun Jian. Zhou Huntao naturally did not understand, because he had never experienced this kind of disappointment. Yun Jian did not answer Zhou Huntao. She just moved her red lips slightly. Under the gaze of Lu Ying and Zhou Huntao, she suddenly said to Lu Ying cruelly, "This world is not as perfect as you think. It is only more unbearable and cruel. If you can't get used to it, go home. At least you have a home to go back to now. Unlike me in the past, I always had myself behind me." Chapter 2785. Yun Jian did not wait for Lu Ying's answer. She left the hospital straight away. Zhou Huntao was about to leave, but when he saw that Lu Ying's emotions were unstable, he messed up his hair and shouted, "I'll go." Then, he ran out to make a phone call. He planned to stay in the hospital overnight to accompany Lu Ying. He had a loud voice and was not very mature, but he had a kind heart. Looking at Lu Ying's tiny frame, he pitied her, so he volunteered not to go home and stay with her. Longmen City. Qing Yu's house. It was a mess. Gun Yanji had left, lured back to Deity Continent by Li Nong. Lang Mei had left, captured by Di Lin and brought back to Blood Doll. Si Luo and Luo Mei had left Longmen City a long time ago. Qing Yu began to let herself go. Currently, on the couch in Qing Yu's house. Qing Yu wore a tight white singlet, her fair arms bared carelessly as she sat on the couch. Her legs that were only clad in a pair of loose shorts were propped up on the back of the couch that was higher than her butt. He reached into the large bag of potato chips in his arms and threw them into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He chewed on them until the chips were everywhere. There were also a lot of clothes scattered around. Qing Yu was watching the Calabash Brothers on the color TV in front of the couch with a frown, staring at it nervously. She had watched the Calabash Brothers so many times that she was sick of it, but every time she saw the important part where her grandfather was taken away by the sprite, she would tense up physically and mentally. It was a joy to watch it over and over again. Yun Yi shook her head and took off her apron helplessly, coming out of the kitchen where the dishes had just been cleaned. Halfway through her potato chips, Qing Yu suddenly hopped off the couch and ran to the fridge barefooted. She took out a sealed bottle of red wine and ran back to the couch, waving at Yun Yi. "Yun Yi, Gidge, Sister Jian gave me this bottle of red wine a while ago. It's expensive. Do you want to have a taste?" For some reason, Qing Yu had learned to call Yun Yi Gidge, in a coquettish voice since some time ago. The girl's soft voice tickled Yun Yi, making him tingle all over. He really wanted to press the tempting Qing Yu beneath him and play with her. Yun Yi suppressed her wicked thoughts and walked over to snatch the red wine from Qing Yu's hand, raising it high. "You're not allowed to drink." Why? Yun Yi, Gidge, it's fine if you don't want to drink with me, but why can't I drink too?" Qing Yu jumped up but could not reach Yun Yi's hand. She grabbed the corner of Yun Yi's shirt with one hand and pouted. How many bottles of red wine has Xiao Jian given you? Drinking it every day isn't good for your health. Yun Yi walked to the sink and poured the red wine into the sink in front of Qing Yu, washing it away with the water. No. Yun Yi, Gidge, just a small sip. I'll agree to anything you want. Just a small sip, okay? Qing Yu panicked when she saw that Yun Yi was about to empty the red wine. Making sure that there was only a little red wine left in the bottle, Yun Yi stopped in time and looked at Qing Yu with a smirk. Qing Yu ran to Yun Yi from afar and leaned against Yun Yi, rubbing against his arm. Yun Yi, Gidge, I'll just drink a little. Her voice was so soft that Yun Yi could not control herself. You'll agree to anything? Yun Yi's breathing grew heavier. Qing Yu nodded like a rattledrum. Yun Yi pressed Qing Yu against the sink with one hand and lowered his head to whisper wickedly in her ear, making his request. Come to the bedroom with me. I'll return it to you after we're done with what we have to do. Chapter 2786. What Yun Yi said sounded like a boss of a business who was over 50 years old, had shifty eyes and was not even as tall as Qing Yu, but wanted to get a room with a young girl just because he was rich and powerful. It was a balding, beer-bellied boss who was clearly not supposed to be doing things his age but relied on his wealth and power to force a woman to submit to him. Coming from Yun Yi, however, the words had a different meaning. It felt like it was only natural. Qing Yu watched Calabash Brothers every day but she understood what Yun Yi meant. Blushing, she pushed Yun Yi away and walked out of the kitchen with a pout. No. I'll just ask Sister Jian for another bottle of red wine. It's only a sip, I don't care for it. Just as she said that, Yun Yi's wicked expression did not change. He picked up the bottle of red wine and gulped down the last mouthful. Yun Yi never drank red wine. Qing Yu was still walking toward her room with a pout, looking adorable and alluring. Yun Yi caught up to Qing Yu in 3 long strides. When he was in front of her, he placed his hand on the back of Qing Yu's head and lowered his head as well. It was a deep kiss that transferred all the red wine in his mouth into hers. It was a deep kiss that made Qing Yu shy and bashful. When he let go, Qing Yu wiped her lips with the back of her hand and jumped up to pat Yun Yi before running back to her bedroom. She even locked her bedroom door. I won't let him in. Bad guy. In the bedroom, Qing Yu lowered her head again at the thought of Yun Yi feeding her red wine in such a way. Placing her hands on her cheeks, she patted them twice softly, planning to leave the bedroom after Yun Yi left her house. Too shy, too shy. Little Qing Yu opened the door. Just as she stepped into the bedroom, Yun Yi's magnetic voice came from outside. There was even a hint of naughtiness in his voice. I'm not feeling well today. Can you help me throw away the trash in the living room and go home? I'll look for you tomorrow, and then we can go to the movies together. Qing Yu's eyes darted around, her gaze drifting. The lie that came out of Qing Yu's mouth was not entirely accurate. Qing Yu and Yun Yi had been dating for almost 6 years. Other than kissing, hugging and touching, there was nothing more intimate. However, Qing Yu could already feel Yun Yi's eagerness. Where do you feel uncomfortable? I'll show you. Yun Yi waited for Qing Yu to finish before continuing, refusing to give up. There's no need for that. I'll be fine after a nap. Qing Yu leaned against the door, listening for Yun Yi's departing footsteps. Who would have thought that just as Qing Yu was putting all her strength on the door to hear if Yun Yi had left, the door was suddenly unlocked. Qing Yu's center of gravity was on the door, so she fell out of the room when the door was suddenly opened. Yun Yi caught her in time, hugging the little liar Qing Yu in his arms. He could not help but tickle Qing Yu's nose, smiling wickedly at her. Looks like my little Qing you're really not feeling well. Don't be afraid, I specialize in all kinds of discomforts. I guarantee that my little Qing you'll be alive and kicking again in a few hours. As he spoke, he half squatted and carried Qing Yu horizontally into the bedroom with his other hand. He kicked the door shut with his heel. He strode to the bed and tossed Qing Yu onto the bed, Yun Yi on top of her as well. Chapter 2787. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Actually, Qing Yu had been in a relationship with Yun Yi for about 6 years and had given her heart to him. In spite of it, Qing Yu was a little scared. She had once secretly asked Yun Jian if her first time hurt. In the end, Yun Jian had replied, It hurts more than any pain I've experienced before. Qingyu was stunned for a few years when she heard that. Every time Yunyi wanted to go further with her, she would come up with all sorts of excuses to change the topic. She was afraid of pain. The internationally renowned poison lady, the elder of the Kosha mercenaries, Qingyu, was the most afraid of pain. Yunyi Gij. Yunyi Gij, you're the best. I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. Qingyu pressed down on Yunyi's body that was on top of her, and looked at Yunyi with her most innocent and pitiful gaze. Little did she know that Yunyi's breathing grew heavier when he saw Qingyu's innocent and pitiful gaze. Be good, I'll be gentle. Yunyi said slowly as if he knew what Qingyu was afraid of. Will it really be very, very gentle? Sister Jen said it hurts more than all the injuries she's been through. Qingyu was still scared as she blinked at Yunyi. Yunyi's expression darkened when he heard that it was his younger sister who had tricked him, but he recovered quickly and forced Qingyu to give in. It doesn't hurt. I'll stop when you say it hurts. Be good, let's try. In spite of it, when Qingyu cried out in pain, Yunyi had turned into a ferocious wolf. No matter how she knocked or scratched, he refused to stop. In the end, Qingyu's legs gave out for 3 days. 1.5 months later. River City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Yunjian had just come out of the martial arts club and was heading to the school. Yunjian Jejie. Before she entered the school, a female voice came from behind her. It was Lu Ying. Yunjian was about to graduate. In a few days, it would be her final graduation exam. Yunjian turned around. Sister Yunjian, what you said last time. I've been thinking about it for more than a month. Now, I've figured it out. I want to go to school properly. Here, no matter how difficult the future is, I will persevere. Because I want to be a teacher. Go back to the countryside and teach like the teachers in Wuzhen. Then tell them about the outside world. This was Lu Ying's decision and future plan after serious consideration over the past few days. Since you've decided, don't go back on your words. Yunjian only said this one sentence. In the end, she patted Lu Ying's shoulder and said nothing else. She turned around and entered the school gate. I will. I will. Lu Ying's eyes suddenly turned red. She put her hands around her mouth and shouted at Yunjian, who was walking through the school gate. 2 days later, Yunjian suddenly received a piece of good news. Yiling was pregnant. Yiling originally thought that there was only a 1% chance. Yiling had already planned to have a test tube baby with Lin Wei in the future. She was even prepared to have a dink family. At most, she would not have children. Who knew that Yiling would actually be pregnant with a child in this 1% chance? When Yunjian went to see Yiling and Lin Wei, she happened to meet Yiling and Lin Wei at the gate. When Yiling saw Yunjian, she wanted to jump from the steps at the gate to the flat ground and hug Yunjian. However, as soon as she took a step and was about to jump down from the steps at the gate, Lin Wei grabbed her. Not only did he not let Yiling walk down the steps by herself, he even carefully carried Yiling in a princess carry. After carrying her down the steps, he put her on the ground. He even held her hand tightly and said bluntly, "Why are you running? What if I lose my child?" Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2788. Being carried down the stairs by Lin Wei, especially in front of Yunjian, made Yiling feel awkward. She pushed Lin Wei and whispered, "I'm not that weak." If it was another man, he would have agreed to Yiling's request. Unfortunately, this man was Lin Wei. "Yes," he said to Yiling sternly as if he was lecturing an assassin from an Hun's assassin training camp. As soon as Lin Wei, who was serious and did not even know how to say sweet sarcasm, said that, Yiling went to Yunjian in a huff. She ignored Lin Wei for 3 whole hours. Lin Wei was confused. What did he do wrong? Yunjian visited Yiling and brought some supplements for her. Then, she returned to the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. In a few days, it would be the senior year's graduation exam. Although Yunjian didn't study in school most of the time, she still got full marks in all her subjects and could graduate successfully. The final graduation exam was just a formality to her. Today, Yunjian was sitting alone on the lawn beside the basketball court, reading a book. It was rare for Yunjian to have such a leisurely time. Mo Bufan, Zhou Huntao, Zhou Dun, and the other members of the martial arts club formed a team. They were having a friendly match with a basketball team from Jiang City Media University, which was organized by the school hunk of Jiang City Media University. Yun Jian was reading a book and watching the basketball game. In the end, she put the book on her face and lay on the lawn beside the basketball court. She closed her eyes and slept. Ah, Qijuan is so handsome. Ah, I can't hold it in anymore. My heart is beating so fast. How can there be such a handsome boy? The basketball team from Jiang City Media University was organized by Luo Qijuan, the school hunk of Jiang City Media University. The group of admirers of Luo Qijuan, who had followed him here from the Media University of Jiang City, shouted and screamed at the top of their lungs. Their voices shook the sky. Mo Bufan was also the school hunk of Jiang City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. His team was balanced with Luo Qijuan's. Originally, the two handsome guys each had their own merits, but at this juncture, whoever was more powerful would win the hearts of the girls. Mo Bufan, Zhou Huntao, and the others were not professional basketball teams, so Luo Qijuan's team had the upper hand. Therefore, more girls were screaming Luo Qijuan's name. Mo Bufan naturally didn't care about this. After following the martial arts club led by Yun Jian, this kind of youthful mentality was no longer important to Mo Bufan. His state of mind had also become steady. Luo Qijuan, on the other hand, was extremely cocky. He glanced at the girls, wanting to see if there were any pretty girls, but his attention was drawn to Yun Jian, who was sitting alone on the lawn and had just taken the book off her head. Perhaps to show off his youthful masculinity, Luo Qijuan whistled and seemingly accidentally swatted the basketball away, sending it flying to Yun Jian. Beauty, I accidentally knocked the basketball away. Help me kick the basketball back. When the basketball was about to roll in front of Yun Jian, Luo Qijuan spoke. However, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded suddenly appeared. They saw Yun Jian standing up in front of everyone. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and kicked the basketball that was rolling towards her. Originally, it seemed like a light kick, but unexpectedly, the basketball flew up in a perfect arc. In an instant, it directly hit Luo Qijuan, who was trying to act cool, in the face not far away. Everyone exclaimed, but they saw Yun Jian glancing coldly at Luo Qijuan. She had already walked towards the basketball court and came in front of Mo Bufan and the others. In front of everyone, she said something to Luo Qijuan's team that made everyone stunned. 12-6. In the next half of the basketball game, the basketball team of Jiang City Media University, who is leading by 6 points, can forget about winning by 1 point. Chapter 2789. The basketball hit the bridge of Luo Qijuan's nose hard. The impact almost flattened his tall nose. The basketball rolled down from Luo Qijuan's face to the ground. Luo Qijuan howled and covered his nose. What's wrong with this girl? Qijuan, how are you? Luo Qijuan's basketball team members saw this and came over with concern. I'm fine. Luo Qijuan pushed away the male classmate who came up to him with concern and stared straight at Yun Jian. Oh my god, that girl is crazy. She did this to Qijuan for no reason. We should call the police and send her to the police station to rot in jail. Boo-hoo, I feel so sorry for Qijuan. A group of girls who admired Luo Qijuan stood aside and scolded Yun Jian. Each of their words was more unpleasant than the other. There were also girls from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, who spoke up for Yun Jian. What do you mean for no reason? That's the president of our school's martial arts club. If we don't help our school, do you think we should help your people? Come on, Yun Jian. Get rid of those pretentious people from other schools who come to our school to play basketball. The girls' discussion was like a flock of sparrows clucking their tongues endlessly. There was no moment when it would stop or end. At this time, Luo Qijuan had already wiped his red nose that was hit by the basketball. His eyes were fixed on Yun Jian, who was standing in front of the members of the martial arts club. After a while, he said something that he thought was very handsome in a tone that was enough to make the girls around him scream. Oh, woman, you've successfully attracted my attention. As soon as he said this, the basketball that hit Luo Qijuan's nose and rolled to Yun Jian's side was tapped lightly by her. In front of everyone, from a distance of 30 meters, she threw it into the basketball hoop without even looking at it. This was not a formal basketball game. To put it bluntly, it was just a friendly game between the two schools. So as long as the ball was dug into the basketball hoop, it would count as a point. With a bang, the basketball went into the hoop. Yoon Jian had once thrown a basketball from 30 meters away when she was in Longmen No. 1 middle school. It had been 6 or 7 years since then. After such a long time, it reappeared once more. Be that as it may, it was a simple move for Yoon Jian that shocked the audience. Luo Qijuan had just finished speaking when he saw Yoon Jian's shocking action. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Qijuan, that girl. That girl stood so far away and threw the basketball into the basketball hoop. I'm afraid she's an expert. A boy on Luo Qijuan's side raised his thick and rough voice and said in a daze. Step aside. Luo Qijuan said. At the same time he rolled up his sleeves, as if this place was about to become a battlefield between him and Yoon Jian. It was as if this place was going to be a showdown between him and Yoon Jian. Everyone else was just supporting characters for him and Yoon Jian, and he and Yoon Jian were going to be defeated by him in this match. The feeling that Yoon Jian would even change her attitude towards him was very obvious. Of course, this was Luo Qijuan's own thoughts. Just as he rolled up his sleeves and was about to put on a show, the basketball that Yoon Jian dug into the basketball hoop was suddenly thrown towards Yoon Jian at the speed of light and lightning. That speed was comparable to when Yoon Jian hit Luo Qijuan. Luo Qijuan, as well as everyone present, was shocked. Their first reaction was that Yoon Jian was going to be hit by the basketball like Luo Qijuan. After all, who could withstand such a fast speed? What no one expected, however, was that Yoon Jian dodged to the side 3 seconds before the basketball was about to hit her. At the same time, she lifted her leg at a 180 degrees angle and kicked the basketball back to where it came from with a force stronger than the inertia of the basketball. The person who threw the basketball at Yoon Jian was a girl in a short-sleeved shirt and shorts. When the girl saw that the basketball was kicked back by Yoon Jian, she flipped and barely dodged the ball in front of everyone. The girl was none other than Qing Yu. The speed at which Yoon Jian and Qing Yu dodged the basketball was not something a normal person could do. This scene shocked all the people around them to the point that they were stunned on the spot. Even Luo Qijuan's gaze had changed from his terrified expression. It was then that Qing Yu took 2 big strides toward Yoon Jian. While the crowd was horrified that the 2 girls were so agile, she told Yoon Jian something that shocked everyone. Haha, Sister Jian. We haven't competed in a basketball game for a long time. Wanna play? If I win, bring me to Country M's biggest red wine exhibition next month and steal the world's most expensive red wine for me to drink. M. Chapter 2790. Putting aside the fact that Yoon Jian and Qing Yu, who had appeared out of nowhere, possessed such frightening capabilities. Just the words that came out of Qing Yu's mouth. What did she mean by bringing her to steal the world's most expensive red wine from Country M's biggest red wine exhibition if they won? Moreover, the words that came out of Qing Yu's mouth made it sound like something that could not be any simpler. There's indeed a red wine exhibition in Country M next month, and it's called the world's biggest red wine exhibition. Many news reports have reported this beforehand, and it's considered the most sensational event in recent times. But the red wine exhibition next month will be attended by all the international tycoons. Even an insignificant fly won't be able to sneak in, let alone 2 girls like you. How is it possible? Luo Qijuan had forgotten about the basketball match that was going on midway. He looked at Yoon Jian and Qing Yu in a daze, his mouth agape when he heard what Qing Yu said. Luo Qijuan's words made sense. Of course, the international tycoons will attend the event themselves. Ordinary citizens like us don't even have the right to see the market. Just as Luo Qijuan finished, a girl who looked elegant and dignified walked out from the group of girls. As the young girl spoke, she was already standing beside Luo Qijuan. Of course you guys are the same. You're just ordinary university students. The girl purposely reminded Yoon Jian and Qing Yu's identities when she came to Luo Qijuan's side. Zhu, don't make it sound so bad. When Luo Qijuan saw the girl, displeasure that was hard to detect flashed across his face. The girl who was called Zhu was displeased when she heard that. Then, Zhu seemed to have recalled something as she put on a smug expression and looked at Luo Qijuan, speaking in an exaggerated tone. I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. 8 years ago, Qijuan, wasn't Uncle invited to the world-shaking wine tasting conference? That global wine tasting conference can't be compared to the world's biggest red wine exhibition this time. It was known as the first wine appraisal conference in history. Not only did the big shots of the righteous path come, But it was also said that the underworld, underground secret agents, assassins, and so on were all present. Uncle, you were invited to participate in it openly. There's no need for you to sneak in. As she spoke, Xueqi glanced at Yunjian and Qingyu. Her last sentence was directed at Yunjian and Qingyu. In the wine tasting conference 8 years ago, all the best and most expensive wines in the world were present. As for why it was called the first wine tasting conference in history, it was not only because the wine was the best and most expensive wine in history, but also because at the end, a big shot of unknown origin had spent a total of 5 billion RMB to buy all the wine, one by one, at a high price. During the wine auction, no matter who offered a higher price, that person would raise the price to an unacceptable level. In the end, the bottle of wine was won by that person. This incident blew up the entire world and refreshed people's understanding of wealth. Luo Qijuan's father had also been invited to participate in that wine tasting conference. It was something to be proud of. Although Luo Qijuan did not like Xueqi, he could not hide the smugness on his face when he heard it from Xueqi. Luo Qijuan, who was being praised by all the girls around him, suddenly heard Qingyu telling Yunjian something that shocked everyone. Ha! Could the wine tasting conference 8 years ago be the one held in New York of M country? Sister Jian, didn't you buy those wines for 5 billion? They're all still with the master now. A few of them are moldy. You bought so much that you can't finish them. They don't taste good either. It's such a waste just thinking about it. Chapter 2791. Yunjian had indeed participated in the wine tasting conference 8 years ago. She had even spent 5 billion to buy all the good wines in the wine tasting conference. People from all over the world had been speculating who could be such a generous person during that period of time. It had even become an international story that had piqued people's interest. Xueqi had wanted to use Luo Qijuan's father's honor to have participated in the wine tasting conference to show off, but she had not expected this. How is this possible? Father once said that in the auction house of the wine tasting conference that day, as long as someone bid, he would raise the price to the highest level, even to the point that others couldn't afford it. The person who bought all the wine in the end was a man who was at least 1.9 meters tall and covered his entire body, including his face. How could it be her who bought it? She's only a student from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. At the very least, she's only the president of a martial arts club. This doesn't fit at all. Luo Qijuan's eyes widened as he looked at Mo Bufan with a crazed expression, as if he wanted Mo Bufan to expose Qingyu's lie. However, what Luo Qijuan saw was Mo Bufan shrugging his shoulders at Luo Qijuan. He looked to the side and said a sentence full of philosophy that people could not understand. Anything is possible. Such an impractical thing is just like how modern people can travel back in time to change history. It's impossible. Qijuan, don't be fooled. Xueqi spoke up unhappily when she saw that the school hunk Luo Qijuan, who had always been cold and aloof, her childhood sweetheart who grew up with her from an aristocratic family, was saying so much because of a woman. The year 2005 was a changing era. It was the era when country Z's economy was developing rapidly. The film industry was also on the right track due to country Z's improved economic conditions. Every household could almost install a TV. Transmigration TV was popular in this era, and there was a popular one not too long ago. Therefore, Xueqi could not help but use this as a comparison. Luo Qijuan rubbed his forehead. Although he didn't really like Xueqi, he still felt that her words made sense. Therefore, when he came back to his senses, Luo Qijuan looked at Yunjian and saw that the girls around him were looking at him. Although he wouldn't take a fancy to those girls, a young man like Luo Qijuan couldn't wait for more girls to like him so that he could show off his charm. After flipping his short hair coolly, Luo Qijuan spoke to Yunjian and Qingyu in a serious and bossy CEO tone. Little girls at your age haven't seen much of the world. You'll suffer a lot when you go out in the future. As he spoke, he raised his hand and glanced at the watch on his right hand. Then, he stared at Yunjian and continued. I don't have time to play basketball with you. Another day. Beauty. Give me your phone number. Let's keep in touch. As he spoke, he even reached out his hand, as if he wanted Yunjian to give him her number, just like how young men and women would do when they met each other, or when they didn't have their notebooks with them. Qingyu clicked her tongue, almost bursting out in laughter. Yunjian remained unmoved with a nonchalant expression. Just as Luo Qijuan was about to use another method. Coming! Qingyu suddenly extended her arm and waved to the side. Right, Sister Jian, I'm not actually here to play basketball with you today. I'm here with someone to look for you. Qingyu turned to explain to Yun Jian before standing aside. He saw a burly man with a height of 1.9 meters, who was wrapped tightly from head to toe, walking over. He was tall but his gait was as nimble as a leopard's. The newcomer was none other than Tiger Bao, who stood side by side with Snake Lizard from the Kosha mercenaries. When Tiger Bao arrived, he greeted Yun Jian respectfully in front of everyone. Sister Jian. This was not a strange thing. However, just as everyone was wondering who this burly man who covered himself up was, the burly man who was standing in front of them suddenly changed his appearance. Luo Qijuan's eyes widened as he shuddered. Looking at Tiger Bao, his hand met Tiger Bao's like a spring, and he exclaimed at him in front of everyone who was watching the show. Look at you! The man who bought all the wine at a high price at the wine tasting event 8 years ago that I mentioned to my dad is exactly the same. My dad even showed me a photo of him at the auction. You're the tycoon who rocked the world 8 years ago. Chapter 2792. Tiger. Leopard who was fully clothed thought that Luo Qijuan was Yun Jian's friend when he heard what Luo Qijuan said after he spoke to Yun Jian. The 1.9 tall man originally looked tall and strong. Although they couldn't see Tiger Leopard's face, just by looking at the pair of black eyes that were exposed outside, the hearts of the people around him trembled. In their hearts, they thought that Tiger Leopard was an incomparably cold person. Who knew that Tiger Leopard would turn around and pull down the black cloth that covered his face, revealing only his eyes, to grin at Luo Qijuan that made the latter take 2 steps back. It was also a direct admission that he was the tycoon who had shaken the world 8 years ago that Luo Qijuan had mentioned. Just as Luo Qijuan, Zhu who stood beside him, and everyone else who suspected Yun Jian were mesmerized by the scene, Luo Qijuan and Zhu who stood beside him were stunned by the scene. Yun Jian suddenly went to Tiger Leopard who had been turned from shock to adoration by everyone. Standing on her tiptoes, she grabbed the back of Tiger Leopard's collar and kicked Qingyu who had been silent on the side before dragging Tiger Leopard to the school gate. What's the matter? Yun Jian asked as they walked. She had planned to participate in the last few days of campus life by playing basketball. However, it was obvious that Luo Qijuan and the rest were unwilling to continue. Sister Jian, let go of me first. Tiger Leopard spoke in a respectful tone to his superior after being dragged by Yun Jian. Yun Jian let go right away. Luo Qijuan, Zhu, and the rest who were standing at the back were stunned again when they saw what happened. So the tycoon who had shaken the world back then was someone else. Luo Qijuan's eyes were wider than a dead fish's. He was stupefied. And this person is the president of your Martial Arts Society at River City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Luo Qijuan exclaimed in a hoarse voice. When everyone looked up, however, Tiger Leopard and Qingyu were already following behind Yun Jian. The trio's silhouettes flashed past everyone's eyes like a beautiful scene. When they looked up again, they were nowhere to be found. Kosha mercenaries. There was a reason why Tiger Leopard and Qingyu had come to Yun Jian personally. Just as Yun Jian returned to Kosha mercenaries, she saw Su Zetian who was managing Falcon Hall for her sitting there. Seeing Yun Jian enter, all the higher-ups of Kosha mercenaries and Su Zetian stood up and nodded at Yun Jian. Sister Jian, did you see the strategy one gave you earlier? Yun Jian did not beat around the bush. She walked to the highest point of the table and pulled out a stool to sit down, going straight to the point. Yeah, I did. I agree with the idea of relocating Falcon Hall overseas. It's just that Falcon Hall's influence is now spread across country. Except for Xueqi province that is under our direct jurisdiction, the other provinces have their own managers. In fact, many district managers are already thinking of breaking away from Falcon Hall and becoming the head of their own faction with their subordinates. If they don't agree to relocate all of Falcon Hall's forces overseas, I'm afraid they'll use this opportunity to strike back at us. Falcon Hall's influence was spread across the country now, but each province had its own manager. Xueqi province was the headquarters, so it was under Yun Jian and Su Zetian's direct jurisdiction. As for the managers of other places, they had made friends with a bunch of their own people and were already thinking of stripping Falcon Hall of their own. Relocating overseas was not as simple as it seemed. Everyone knew that Yun Jian had been to the future world. Country Z's future could not tolerate the existence of gangs. Falcon Hall's best choice now was to relocate overseas in the next few years. However, this was a huge project. Not everyone would listen to Yun Jian or Su Zetian. Not everyone was as loyal to Yun Jian as Su Zetian was. Although the group of old men did not say anything, they had never been convinced that it was a gang founded by a woman. While Su Zetian was frowning with a troubled expression, Yun Jian's nonchalant and lethal words rang in the air, laced with a thick murderous intent. No one can change the decision that I, Yun Jian, have made. Those who don't cooperate with Falcon Hall's subordinates in other provinces will be kicked out of Falcon Hall. Managers, kill those who start trouble. Annihilate those who set up gangs on their own. Leave no one alive. Chapter 2793. Yun Jian's words were like an order that could not be disobeyed, ringing out majestically and sending chills down the spine. Hearing that, Su Zetian, who still had a lot of concerns, felt his blood boil again as he answered with the same words. Yes. Kosha mercenaries usually did not interfere with Falcon Hall's affairs. Of course, if Falcon Hall had reached a point where it could not be controlled, Kosha mercenaries would step in depending on the situation. After receiving the order, Su Zetian returned to Country Z first, planning to inform the managers of all provinces about Falcon Hall's overseas relocation as soon as he could. At that time, it would be clear which managers would stand on his side and which managers would want to lead their brothers and set up their own businesses. Of course, this matter could not be left to Su Zetian. It was just that Su Zetian had to be the one to start it. Sister Jian, you've been to the future world. Does that mean Falcon Hall in the future world? Qingyu propped her chin adorably and asked Yun Jian after Su Zetian left. Yun Jian from the future world had died in 2016, dying together with a mysterious person. Now that history had changed, Yun Jian would not die in the future. However, Yun Jian from the future had died. Falcon Hall then no longer had Yun Jian as its backer. The consequences were indescribable. Yun Jian nodded. After a pause, she looked up at Qingyu and continued, in 2017, the last group of Falcon Hall members were disbanded. No gangs are allowed to exist in Country Z in the future. Falcon Hall was Su Zetian's hope for the rest of his life. Without Falcon Hall, Su Zetian had no future. In addition, he was arrested and imprisoned. In early 2018, he lost all hope in life and committed suicide in prison. This was Falcon Hall and Su Zetian's future. She, on the other hand, was going to defy the heavens. Just as Yun Jian left Kosha mercenaries, she saw Ce. Not only did she see Ce, she saw the girl and the child as well. The girls were still young, but they had already learned how to walk. Ce had a hand in his pocket as he looked at Yun Jian dotingly. The little girl and the little fellow were both standing on the ground. He didn't know what they were playing, but their laughter was crisp and carried a hint of happiness. Just like that, Ce let the little girl and the little guy run back and forth, shuddering and giggling, ignoring them. His dark eyes were fixed on Yun Jian. There was only Yun Jian in his eyes. He strode over to Yun Jian's hand and pulled her toward an ordinary street in Country M. The girls had just learned how to walk. When they saw Yun Jian and Ce walking toward the street, the two little cuties were like butterflies dancing around Yun Jian and Ce. They were extremely happy. When they reached the downtown area, the girl was tired from playing. She walked over and grabbed Yun Jian's finger. She looked at the passers-by in a daze and even shrank towards Yun Jian, looking a little scared. The child was different. He rushed to a snack shop and shouted, "Eat, eat!" wanting to rush in. Ce grabbed him roughly. The child was unhappy. As he walked forward, he deliberately stopped in front of Ce and pointed at the snack shop, not letting Ce go forward. He shouted, "I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat." Ce was like a human trafficker. He kicked the child lightly and walked forward. However, his hand was still holding Yun Jian's little hand. Just as the two of them walked through two streets with the two children, two policemen in Country M's uniforms suddenly appeared in front of them. The two policemen looked at each other and then stopped Ce. They glanced at the child's ugly face, as if he had been abused by Ce. They spoke to Ce smoothly in English. "Hello, we are from the nearby police station. We just received a report from passers-by that you are suspected of kidnapping children. Please come with us." Wonderful Book House. Chapter 2794. Ce lowered his head slightly and kissed Yun Jian's rosy lips, who was lying on his lap in front of everyone. He even... Oh my God. He's so unrestrained. A group of foreign men who passed by from afar, and merely took a few more glances at Yun Jian because they were attracted by her beauty, exclaimed in surprise and turned to leave as if they were fleeing for their lives. Ce's hand was now placed on Yun Jian's ample bosom through her clothes. He was doing something unspeakable. Yun Jian only opened her eyes after lying on the beach for more than an hour under the setting sun. The two little guys were already fast asleep on her lap. In the end, Yun Jian and Ce each carried one of them and brought the kosher mercenaries back. That night, the little fellow and the little girl slept soundly. Even their snores were loud enough to shake the heavens. It was obvious that they were really tired. An Hun group. Xueqi had just returned to his and Si Luo's cozy little home after a busy day. He searched the house but could not find Si Luo. Si Luo was 5 to 6 months pregnant and the baby bump was already showing. Xueqi's first reaction when he could not see Si Luo was to dash to Emosen and grab him by the collar. Emosen, where did your wife take my woman? Xueqi clenched his fists slightly as he spoke, looking like he was really going to pick a fight with Emo Sr. Cough. They went to the young mistress' house first. It's Country Z's festival today, the Dragon Boat Festival. They said they're gathering to eat dumplings and asked us to go with them later. Emo Sen pushed Xueqi away and walked out after straightening his collar. As an Hun group had their own private helicopter, it was very convenient to travel from an Hun group to Zhe Province's Longmen City. It was already night when Emo Sen and Xueqi arrived at Longmen City. Just as they opened the door to Yun Jian's villa, they were greeted by a lively crowd. Si Luo, whom Xueqi had been thinking about, was sitting on a bench in the living room, helping Qin Yiru wrap dumplings. Although the dumplings didn't look good and didn't look delicious, in general, it was very good that a newbie could wrap the dumplings like this. Seeing this, Xueqi's heart warmed, and he walked over as well. Before this, Si Luo had ignored him for a long time. Si Luo wanted to know how he got the scar on his neck. Xueqi refused to say anything. Si Luo was a little angry. She wanted to hug Si Luo from behind, but she did not expect Si Luo to sense Xueqi. She turned around and saw Xueqi trying to hug her secretly. She was so angry that she pouted. Her hand was still stuck with the rice used to make dumplings. She stood to the side and avoided Xueqi. She said that you bullied her. Xueqi, let me tell you, Luo is my best friend. If you bully her, I will fight you to the death. Luo Mei sat at the side. Seeing that Si Luo had run off, she didn't even have time to wipe her hands. She raised her hand and placed her fingers on the handsome snow eagle, except for the frightening scar on his neck. Luo Berry and Si Luo had become best friends. Hey, Brother Wang, tell me, how did you make sister-in-law angry? Be careful that she doesn't run away. Adam went to Xueqi's side and put an arm around his shoulder, gossiping like a good buddy. Wang Er was a name that Adam had randomly given to him in order to fool Xueqi back then. Xueqi's attention was on Si Luo, so he did not mind how Adam called him. To quickly vent Si Luo's anger, he told him about how Si Luo had asked about the scar on his neck and how he had angered Si Luo by refusing to tell him. Hearing this, Adam moved closer to Xueqi. Instead of helping Xueqi, he asked curiously. Chapter 2795. Hearing Adam's words, Xueqi's eyes darkened. No, sister-in-law asked you, so just tell her. What's there to hide? This woman just wants to hear the truth from you. She doesn't care about what you've been through in the past. What's there to hide? Face or wife, which is more important? Adam thought that Xueqi was unwilling to tell because he was hurt and embarrassed, so he tried to persuade him. In fact, Adam also wanted to know how Xueqi got his scar. After all, this scar directly reduced Xueqi's handsomeness. Originally, in terms of appearance, Xueqi was much better than the other 3 leaders of the Hun organization. Xueqi frowned. Just as he was about to reject Adam's words, he suddenly saw Si Luo, who had run away just now, walk back. Si Luo was looking in Xueqi's direction, her beautiful eyes sparkling as if she wanted to hear Xueqi's answer. Xueqi's face darkened, and he decided not to say anything. Si Luo pursed her lips. Seeing Xueqi's reaction, she walked away again. Xueqi wanted to go forward, but Adam stopped him. All right, don't go. She'll be angrier if you go. Half an hour later. Everyone who was supposed to be here was here. The 4 leaders of the Hun organization were all present. No one knew what had gotten into Adam as he tugged at Mo-sen, and took the lead to talk about the past between him and Mo-sen before they got together. Mo-sen and I used to have the surname Zhou. We didn't have parents since we were young, so we wandered many places. In order to survive, Mo-sen even fought with homeless people for leftovers in the trash. But he was too young, so he was no match for homeless people in their 20s or 30s. Mo-sen was often beaten until his head bled, and he always hid his wounds from me. After I found out, I made a blood oath that I would never call him Brother Mo-sen again. I wanted to be his brother and protect him. This was why Adam and Mo-sen were biological brothers, but they never called him brother. Adam's rambling was like a heavenly flower, but Snow Eagle, who was listening by the side, remained silent. Xueqi naturally had his reasons for not saying anything. Everyone had their own past. Later on, we were taken in by the young master. Linwei, what about you? What did you do before you met the young master? Adam finished talking about his past and turned to look at Linwei. Under everyone's gaze, Linwei did not hide anything. He used his usual simple words to describe his past. My entire family was killed. Revenge. Linwei used to be his parents' treasure, but one day, his entire family was killed for no reason. Since Linwei and his sister were not at home, they managed to escape. However, when they got home, his sister found that something was wrong at home. She hid him downstairs and told him not to make a sound if he saw anything. Then she rushed upstairs. His sister had been thrown down from the 3rd floor by her enemy. Her head was on the ground, and her brain was splattered everywhere. Linwei had a mysterious calmness since he was young. At that time, he didn't go out, but he secretly memorized the appearance of his enemy. She hadn't been with Ce for long, but she had already taken her revenge. Among the 4 leaders of the Hun organization, other than Xueqi, the other 3 had already revealed their backgrounds. Everyone looked at Xueqi. Xueqi wanted to reject him on the spot, but Si Luo was staring at him expectantly and angrily, as if he wouldn't forgive him if he didn't say anything. Xueqi paused, sighed and said. Chapter 2796. There were similarities and differences between Xueqi and Si Luo's experiences. When Si Luo's father abused her in front of her and beat her mother to death, she was so angry that she accidentally stabbed her own father to death. Xueqing's family didn't do anything and even treated Xueqing well. However, Xueqing's family offended a powerful force. That powerful force captured Xueqing's entire family and gave Xueqing, who wasn't even 5 years old, 2 choices. 1. He could destroy his own family with his own hands and let them live. 2. That group of people would kill everyone in his family, including him on the spot. A child who wasn't even 5 years old not only understood what this meant, but also chose the former decisively and killed everyone in his family. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't ruthless. Although Xueqing killed all those people who let the tiger return to the mountain. Although Xueqing's strength wasn't the strongest among the 4 leaders of Hun, his ruthlessness was the cream of the crop. It was because of this that Ce allowed Xueqing to use Hun's identity to negotiate with other organizations and people on the international stage. When it was time to be ruthless, he would be more ruthless than anyone else. When something happened, he would slip away faster than anyone else. Although this was not the behavior of a person with moral character, it was indeed the basic behavior that a person who mingled in this circle should follow. Hey, young master. Did you know about Xueqing's background long ago? No wonder you didn't let me replace Xueqing when I wanted to. Adam put his arm around Xueqing's shoulders and shook his legs as he looked at Ce with a roguish expression. You can try. Xueqing will give you his position. Ce stood at the side. His newly trimmed black hair was unusually bright under the light in the room. Under his handsome face, his lips were especially eye-catching. No. No, no, no. I don't want it. Even if you send me to Africa, the Hazara Desert, or the Amazon, I don't want Xueqing's position. What a joke. When I replace Hun, I'll be chased 9 out of 10 times when I go to the washroom. I don't want this kind of life. Adam waved his hand at Ce as if he had heard something that made people cower from the bottom of their hearts. What a joke. He wasn't looking for death. Xueqing's job was to represent Hun in the underworld. When people couldn't find Ce, 3 of the 4 leaders of Hun would naturally target Xueqing. Xueqing's ability to escape was much better than Adam's. After all, he was experienced after so many years of escaping from unknown assassinations. Adam didn't experience that. He didn't even have the chance to pee in the washroom before he was done. Cough. How did you know that Xueqing was running while peeing? Mo-sen put his fist to his mouth and coughed dryly. How of him didn't know that Xueqing had had such a scandal? Bro, he told me. There was one time when he almost had his manhood cut off while he was peeing. Luckily, it was only a small cut. Tsk. Adam didn't notice Xueqing's murderous gaze as he continued. Yunjian, Luo Mei, Lang Mei, Qin Yiru, Guxian, Yun Yi, and the rest didn't hear what was said. But the worst thing was that Adam was afraid that things wouldn't get out of hand. So he suddenly raised his voice. In the next second, everyone in the room heard Adam's loud voice talking about Xueqing. Chapter 2797. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Before he could finish his sentence, Xueqing's hand formed into an eagle's claw and attacked Adam. That speed almost made Adam's head get hit by Xueqing's claw, and he would be the first one of the 4 leaders of an Hun to be killed. Luckily, Adam dodged to the side and avoided Xueqing's claw. Luckily, Xueqing didn't really want Adam's life. Adam grabbed Xueqing's wrist and didn't let Xueqing get close to him. At the same time he cursed. Damn, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? We're from the same roots. Why are you in such a hurry to kill each other? We've already slept together so many times, and we've even seen each other naked so many times. If I was killed by your claw just now, you'd feel so guilty. As soon as he said this, everyone who was looking over couldn't help but cough dryly and look away. Adam's words didn't explain his relationship with Snow Eagle. Instead, it made his relationship with Snow Eagle even more passionate. Everyone knew that among the 4 leaders of an Hun, Lin Wei and Mo-san had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship. Adam and Xueqing had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship too. But they didn't expect their relationship to be exposed to this extent. Compared to feeling guilty, I'd rather you die right now. Xueqing's face was green as he said to Adam half-jokingly. Adam was still holding on to Xueqing's wrist, so it was as if their hands were still tightly clasped together. Lan Su, who was standing at the side, rubbed her forehead helplessly. Si Luo was dumbfounded. She looked at Xueqing, then at Adam. Was she disturbing them by being here? What an exciting show! Tsk. One of the 4 leaders of an Hun, Adam, and Xueqing were gay before, Tsk. Lang Mei had taken a dumpling from the kitchen and was eating it as she stood beside Yun Jian. She seemed to have made a big discovery. Damn, this woman, what are you talking about? Do you believe I won't twist your head off? Adam immediately glared at Lang Mei when he heard that. Sister Jian, I'm on your side. This person who's not with us said he's going to twist my head off. You're the one who's at a loss, Sister Jian. Lang Mei hugged Yun Jian's arm abruptly and rubbed her ample bosom against Yun Jian, whining. This was the reason why she walked to Yun Jian's side. Adam was Si Yi's subordinate, so Yun Jian would definitely protect her. You want to work under me in her place? Hearing Lang Mei's words, Yun Jian only calmly looked at Adam. To be honest, when Adam worked under Si Yi, the most he would do was to stay by Si Yi's side and help Si Yi with some trivial matters. He didn't have anything important to do. Yun Jian's words were clearly telling Adam that if he dared to touch Lang Mei, he would have to bear the consequences in the future. No, young madam, I was just joking. Just kidding. Adam quickly waved his hands. She thought that Yun Jian would avert her gaze and let it go like she did in the past. Who knew that Yun Jian would stare at him like she would not stop until he gave her an explanation? Adam could clearly feel that the young master he feared the most was slowly shifting her gaze to him. He wiped away his sweat. To divert Yun Jian's attention, Adam had successfully betrayed his best buddy and revealed the shocking news loudly. Cough, cough. Young madam, Xueqing and I aren't the only ones who were gay. From the time we joined in Hun until 2 years ago, Lin Wei and Mo-sen slept in the same room every time they met. They even took a bath together every day, the kind where they bathed each other. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 2798. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's eyes flickered when she heard that. Her lips that were flat and indifferent curled up as if she had heard some interesting tidbit. Adam had betrayed his brother and successfully avoided the punishment that the young master was about to pass on to him. Offending the young madam was the same as offending the young master. If one were to ask Adam what he was afraid of, it would probably be offending Yunjian. Seeing that the punishment on Siyi's face had gradually faded, Adam didn't even have time to relax before he saw Emo-san and Lin Wei glaring fiercely at him. Their gazes were as though Adam had suddenly exposed a secret that had been hidden for many years. It was as though a river beast had met a living person and wanted to tear him apart. Especially Lin Wei's ability. He was the strongest among the 4 leaders of the Dark Soul organization. Cough. Brother, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't promise you guys to keep this a secret. I see that the weather outside is pretty good. I'll go out and bask in the sun. Adam said, waving his hand. At this moment, the sky was dry and the ground was dry. The night was lonely and the sun was nowhere to be seen. After Adam slipped out, Lin Wei glanced at everyone and immediately chased after him without saying a word. Xueqi shouted at Adam, who had just rushed out of the door, "Don't run if you have the guts." Then he chased after him. Lin Wei and Xueqi chased after Adam and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. Emo-san didn't chase after them and didn't care about Adam. He stood on the spot and didn't make a sound. Until he caught a glimpse of Luo Berry lowering her head slightly and walking towards the rooftop of the villa unsociably when no one was looking. Emo-san didn't care about Adam's situation and chased after Luo Berry. Luo Berry and Emo-san's relationship stopped at the kiss that Emo-san had kissed her. Since then, there had been no further progress. Although Luo Berry had been following Emo-san as though she had received orders from her family to stay by Emo-san's side and not go back, Emo-san didn't do anything to her. Other than the kiss that day, the two of them still did not directly expose this layer of their relationship. Above friends, but not yet lovers. This was referring to Lockberry and Mawson. Emo-sen followed Rockberry to the rooftop. As soon as Luo Berry arrived, he dialed a number with trembling hands. "Hey, Dad, is that you, Dad? Dad, tell Grandpa that I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to go back." "Why?" "He won't like me, and I won't accept this kind of love that is obtained by using others. Besides, he already has someone he likes. Dad, I beg you to beg Grandpa to let me go home. I want to go back to school. I don't want to be here anymore." Rockberry spoke to the other end of the phone in an almost pleading tone. When the head of the Luo family, Luo Berry's grandfather, found out about Emo-sen's identity, he wanted to make use of Emo-sen's feelings for Luo Berry. He wanted Luo Berry to follow Emo-sen and benefit from him. It would be best if Emo-sen could marry Luo Berry. Without waiting for his father to speak, Luo Berry continued. And he already has someone he likes. Yes, it's a man. He doesn't like and won't like women. As soon as he finished speaking, before Luo Berry could finish, his phone was suddenly snatched from the air. With a beep, the call was hung up by Mawson. In the next second, Luo Berry's phone was smashed into pieces not far away by Mawson. Who said that a mature and steady person could be mature and steady for a lifetime? Some people could become murderers if they were forced into a corner for a lifetime. When Mawson heard that Luo Berry was leaving, he panicked. As expected of Adam's biological brother, even if their personalities were different, the things they did when they were anxious were somewhat similar. After he smashed Luo Berry's phone, his first reaction was to press Luo Berry on the dark rooftop and tear off his short skirt and pants. Then, he unbuckled his belt. After wearing his top and being intimate, he did not do anything else. Instead, he caressed her delicate cheeks, his eyes shining with possessiveness. "Where are you going? Who said that I like men? Why don't you give it a try and see if I like men?" Translator. Kingbao Editor. Kingbao. Chapter 2799. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The old man nodded when he heard Li Nong's words. Just like how he used to ask those disciples who were chasing after love, he spoke earnestly. "Since you're so infatuated with the one you love, then..." Wait a minute, something was not right. When the old man said this, he stroked his long white beard and turned his gaze to Li Nong. After 2 seconds of silence, he seemed to have suddenly realized what Li Nong had just said. He spoke to Li Nong mechanically. B butt is big and soft, and comfortable to touch? This is the reason why you're willing to give up your future to like that woman? Cough, 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 cough. He was old and could not understand the young man's thoughts. The old man coughed madly and waved at Li Nong. Go, go. Go find that woman who has a big and soft butt that you like and that's comfortable to touch. In Yun Jian's house. The group did not find it strange when Mo Sen and Luo Mei, who were upstairs, did not come down. They continued chatting. After Lang Mei and Lan Su helped Qin Yiru wash the dishes, everyone in the house sat in front of the TV after dinner to watch the Calabash Brothers that had been on repeat recently. Qing Yu sat at the front. Xiao Yunju, Duan Li, Duan Ye, the little girl, and the little one were obedient. They sat behind Qing Yu obediently and watched the Calabash Brothers on the TV with wide eyes, enjoying themselves. Grandpa is being taken away. Ah! Calabash Brothers. Go save Grandpa. Quick. When they reached the most exciting part, Zhou Iran was like a mischievous child. He stood up from the foam mat excitedly and made 2 punching motions with his hands. It was very comical. TSK, so childish. Xiao Yunju was past the age of innocence and was about to enter puberty. Whether it was his height or his mentality, he had matured a lot. The group of children were enjoying the show. Be it Adam, Xueqi, Lin Wei, or even Yun Jian and Ce, they would not fight for the remote control. Just then the door opened. A young man's domineering figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Li Nong. Li Nong glanced left and right before his gaze landed on Yun Jian. Lord Witch Goddess, where's Gunyenji? She's at the garden in the nearby neighborhood. She's learning to dance. Lang Mei who answered Li Nong for Yun Jian. Furthermore, when Lang Mei said these words, he even carried a gloating tone. After Li Nong heard this, he didn't think much and turned to leave. Yun Jian was in Longman's On's the villa. Was in translation in the villa forest. There was a large square near the community garden. People from the nearby communities would come here to take a stroll or exercise after dinner. It was a pleasant life. Speaking of the square, there was naturally square dancing. Li Nong had just arrived here and glanced around when he saw a group of aunties not far away. They were stretching their necks and stretching their arms, swaying left and right to perform the latest popular double square dance. On the other side, Gunyenji had just finished her solo square dance with a group of aunties. Because she didn't have a partner, she lowered her head in disappointment. She felt a different gaze on her, so she looked up. The moment she saw Li Nong, she was instantly energized. The next moment, she rushed in front of Li Nong and grabbed his hand. Li Nong was delighted to see that. Could it be that she liked him too? Just as the thought formed in his mind, Gunyenji's next words shocked him. You're just in time. Lang Mei and Qing Yu, those idiots, aren't willing to dance double square dance with me. What do you mean it's embarrassing? Embarrassing my foot. Quick, come and dance double square dance with me on their behalf. I've been looking forward to it for a long time but I couldn't find a partner. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 2800. Couple Square Dance? Hearing Gunyenji's words, Li Nong's brows furrowed slightly, as if he was thinking about what square dancing was. Oh my god, don't tell me you don't know how to dance? Gunyenji covered her face with both hands and pretended to be shocked. Like them. Li Nong's face darkened, but he still pointed at the aunties dancing next to them and asked. Gunyenji shook her head up and down like a rattledrum. I can learn it in a second, but the prerequisite is that you have to promise me something. Li Nong threw out a very tempting bait. Hearing this, Gunyenji's eyes lit up. Really? Whatever it is, I'll agree to it. There's no one to dance with me, and people have been looking at me strangely for the past few days. I've had enough. If Lang Mei was here, she would definitely roll her eyes at her. People were looking at her strangely because she didn't have a partner. It was clearly because she was a young girl, mixing in with a group of aunties to do square dancing. That was why they were staring at her. Hearing this, Li Nong smiled wickedly. The next second, he leaned over to Gunyenji's ear and said something that made Gunyenji instantly cup her cheeks and blush. You scoundrel. Gunyenji stuttered for a long time before stuttering this sentence. Then I'll be leaving. Li Nong turned to leave, but the moment he turned, he curved his lips slightly, as if waiting for the fish on the hook to take the bait. Sure enough, Gu Nianji didn't even need to wait for Li Nong to count to 3 in her heart. The moment she saw Li Nong turn around, Gu Nianji admitted defeat. Okay. I agree. But let's make a deal. Only once. When Yun Jian and Ce took a walk to the neighborhood's park alone and saw Gu Nianji and Li Nong, the two of them were half hugging each other and doing a square dance. If the dance was a little more exaggerated, they could probably fly into the sky with their arms around each other. A boar and a sow. Yun Jian had brought her mobile phone with her. In 2005, new mobile phones already had camera functions, but the pixels weren't clear. Yun Jian raised her phone and pointed it at Gu Nianji and Li Nong, taking a complete picture of them. Yun Jian had just returned home when Mo Sen and Luo Berry came down from the rooftop. Mo Sen's expression was still normal, but Luo Berry's face was as red as a strawberry. The next day, Mo Sen invited Yun Jian as he said on the rooftop. He wanted Yun Jian to help him go to the Luo family to propose marriage to Luo Mei. The Luo household. Elder Luo smiled respectfully at Mo Senator because he knew Mo Sen's identity. Elder Luo's expression towards Mo Sen was extremely respectful. However, Mo Sen only brought a few expensive things and did not mention the matter of marriage. Luo Mei stood behind Old Master Luo with her hands clenched into fists. She looked nervous. What do you mean by sending the berries back? Old Master Luo asked knowingly and stared at Mo Sen with a smile on his face. He seemed to be waiting for Mo Sen to speak first. Speak for yourself. Yun Jian smiled wickedly. After hearing Old Master Luo's words, she walked past Mo Sen and left the house. He had invited Yun Jian here to let Yun Jian speak for him. Seeing that Yun Jian had actually left, Mo Sen's expression froze. After all, he had never proposed marriage before. How should he say this? In the next second, Mo Sen did not hesitate. The moment Yun Jian was about to step out of the Luo family's house, he suddenly pointed at Luo Berry and said to Old Master Luo what everyone in the Luo family wanted to say. Sell her to me. You can name the price. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 2801. After saying this, Mo Sen always felt that what he said was weird. But he only knew what marriage proposal was, and he had never proposed marriage before. He had never even seen anyone propose marriage before. Naturally, he didn't know what to say or do. As soon as she walked to the gate, Yun Jian, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. How was this a marriage proposal? Strictly speaking, it was more like an open transaction of human trafficking. It was like a human trafficker. After hearing Mo Sen's words, the people of the Luo clan were stunned. Then, their faces revealed an awkward expression. Our Luo family is also a famous family. Naturally, we won't sell our daughter for glory. What Old Master Luo wanted was naturally not Mo Sen's money. The Luo family was also one of the top wealthy families. Of course, they were not short of money. But Mo Sen's status in the world was something that could only be found by chance. If Old Master Luo wanted to climb up this branch, it was equivalent to having the strongest backing. But he still wanted to save face, so when Old Master Luo said this, he winked at Mo Sen, as if telling Mo Sen that he should propose marriage in a normal way. How could Mo Sen propose marriage in a normal way? After hearing Old Master Luo's words, he thought that Old Master Luo would not agree. His face instantly darkened. Mo Sen looked at Old Master Luo. Just when everyone in the Luo family thought that Mo Sen should know what Old Master Luo meant, he suddenly stepped forward, jumped over Old Master Luo, grabbed Luo Mei's hand, and looked sideways at Old Master Luo. So you mean you don't agree? Old Master Luo thought that Mo Sen deliberately said the wrong thing. But seeing Mo Sen's appearance, he instinctively understood that Mo Sen just wanted to spend money to buy Luo Mei, and then cut off all ties with the Luo family. Even buying Luo Mei just wanted her, and was not willing to give Luo Mei a status. This world was very realistic. No matter how rich and powerful you were, as long as it could not bring you benefits, then it was nothing to you. Old Master Luo's face drooped at this moment. To the Luo family, the Luo berry was indeed just a tool to build a good relationship with Mo Sr. Our Luo family is also a noble family with dignity. We will definitely not allow Berry to suffer. Elder Luo displayed a very firm attitude. In fact, Old Master Luo thought that Mo Sen refused to give Luo Berry a status, and even wanted Luo Berry to be his mistress. Then the Luo clan would really not be able to climb up to such a high branch. All of Luo Qian's efforts to force Luo Qian to stay by Mo Sen's side had been in vain. Especially after being with Mo Sen for so long, if Lubi was abandoned again, her reputation as a girl would be ruined, and she would not be able to marry into a good family in the future. Seeing that Mo Sen's hand was tightly wrapped around the Luo Berry, Grandpa Luo knew that Mo Sen had to get the Luo Berry now. Grandpa Luo mistakenly thought that Mo Sen did not want to give Luo Berry a status, so in order to make Mo Sen change his mind, he provoked Mo Sen by saying, "My berry grew up under my protection. She will not be anyone's mistress." After that, Grandpa Luo paused, looked at Luo Berry, and continued, "Berry, do you remember Lin Juanhao from the Lin group who played with you when you were young? Your brother Lin Juanhao is doing well now, and he is also handsome. Your brother Lin Jiahao mentioned you 2 days ago. Go and meet him tomorrow. If you have a good impression of each other, Grandpa will make the decision for you." When these words fell, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of air because the expression on Mo Sen's face had already changed from a friendly one to a murderous one. If the Luo family were not Luo Berry's relatives, they would have been killed by Mo Sen long ago. How could he have the temper to talk to them? Just when Old Master Luo and everyone in the Luo family thought that Mo Sen would take a step back for Luo Berry, Mo Sen held Luo Berry's hand tightly and said something that shocked everyone present. Chapter 2802. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yun Jian was sure that this was her first time hearing Mo Sen speak so crudely after knowing his character. The Luo family fell silent after hearing Mo Sen's words. Luo Mei was so embarrassed that she wished she could find a crack to hide in and never see anyone again. Both parties were caught in an awkward atmosphere. It was then that Yun Jian turned around to resolve the awkwardness. "These are Mo Sen's betrothal gifts to the Luo family's daughter, Luo Mei." Glancing at the expensive items brought by Mo Sen, Yun Jian said simply. This sentence finally calmed down the surrounding atmosphere. Old Master Luo's eyes bulged and he coughed dryly in the next second, as if trying to ease the awkwardness. So, Mo Sen was here to propose marriage today. He even thought that the Luo family was unwilling to marry Luo Mei to him because of what he said. Cough, cough. Well. As long as Luo Mei agrees, I have no objections. Old Master Luo regretted what he said, but since he had already said it, he could only pretend that he did not say anything. Old Master Luo winked at Luo Mei from the corner of his eyes. It was like he was warning Luo Mei that she could forget about staying in this family if she did not agree to Mo Sen's proposal. Luo Mei hung her head low because of what Mo Sen said, as if she was shy. From the looks of it, it was obvious that Luo Berry was willing. Star City Junior High School. Star City Junior High School was Baoding City's junior high school. Baoding City was very close to Longmen City. If Xinjiang Town was under Longmen City's jurisdiction, then Longmen City was under Baoding City's jurisdiction. Moreover, Baoding City's Star City Junior High School was famous in the entire Zhe province for having an endless supply of top students. It was a high school that countless parents would do anything to send their children to. Class 2-9. Yun Zhu was sitting in his seat. He was almost 15 years old, but he had already grown into a handsome and well-defined face. At 14, he was already 1.78 meters tall. His childish face had faded away and he was even more reticent now compared to when he was young. This was probably the normal mentality of adolescent males. Yunju, haha. Yunju, your wife was slapped by someone. She's standing at the door of class 1. Just then, 2 boys of the same age as Yunju rushed into the classroom with their arms around each other's shoulders. They were grinning mischievously, as if they were here to watch a show. What wife? Like I said, Duan Li from the first class is only staying at Yunju's house. She was adopted by Yunju's mother when she was young. A girl who was applying lipstick in front of the mirror immediately stood up and retorted when she heard the 2 boys laughing at the door. The girl's name was Yen Tong Er. She was Yunju's #1 admirer. Oh, is that so? Look, Yunju has already run to support his wife. Ha ha ha, quick, let's go and have a look. One of the 2 boys laughed as he put his arm around the other's shoulder and ran out with Yunju. Yunju, you humph. Seeing this, Yen Tonger stomped his feet and followed her. Yunju ran from class 9 to class 1 in less than half a minute. Duan Li was standing at the door of the classroom. A female teacher was standing in front of her, scolding Duan Li. It was obvious that the slap mark on Duan Li's face was the work of this female teacher. Seeing this, Yen Tong crossed her arms and sneered. She said to the two boys who came to watch the show, "Humph, Duan Li from the first class is not Yunju's wife. I'm the future wife." Besides, Yunju would never talk back to the teacher for his so-called sister. With so many people watching, Yunju would at most show his concern for Duan Li as a brother. There was nothing special about it. But the moment Yen Tong finished speaking, the two boys cried out in surprise. When Yen Tong looked over, she saw Yunju rushing directly to the female teacher in front of everyone. In the next second, he punched the female teacher to the ground and slapped her face with 10 times the force. He was a quiet adolescent, but he said coldly to the female teacher in front of everyone, "Old woman, don't let me see you bully her. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you." Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2803. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Yunju kisses Duan Li, page 1/1. Yunju's punch landed heavily on the female teacher's face. In just a split second, the female teacher's face was smashed to the side. The female students around them screamed. The male students formed groups and put their arms around each other's shoulders. They were afraid that the commotion would not be big enough, so they gathered around and cheered. After the female teacher was beaten to the ground, the male teachers rushed out of the office after hearing the news. They ran over and tried to stop Yunju, who was about to punch the female teacher again. However, Yunju had learned martial arts from Yunjian and Ce. Although he was only trained during winter and summer vacations, he did not receive a harsh scolding like Xueqi ran and the little fellow, Ce. He only learned some simple moves. However, these mature male teachers were no match for Yunju, even though they had only learned a few moves. Yunju broke free of the male teacher's restraints. They were thrown aside by Yunju within 3 seconds. They could not get up after they fell to the ground. At that moment, Yunju turned her gaze back to the female teacher. Everyone's hearts tightened at this moment. Yunju was about to step forward and continue to beat up the female teacher who had bullied Duan Li. No one could stop him. "Stop!" Duan Li suddenly rushed forward and pulled Yunju back. Yunju stopped in his tracks and did not move forward. Cough cough. What does our male student eat? He's so strong. After the male teachers got up from the ground, they were afraid that Yunju would attack again. They immediately pulled Yunju back. The female teacher who had been beaten to the ground finally recovered. She twitched the corner of her mouth and stared at Yunju with wide eyes in disbelief. In the next second, she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Yunju! How dare you hit a teacher? Which class are you from? Punishment. You must be severely punished." Star City Junior High School was a school where parents from nearby cities racked their brains to send their students to. The quality of their students was very good. Therefore, most of the teachers in the school, regardless of whether it was the parents or the students, put on a high and mighty attitude. Yunju was self-reliant and did not want to cause trouble for Yunjian. He took on the severe punishment and suspension for a week from the school without any resistance. A suspension of classes for a week was more exciting than a pie falling from the sky for students who did not want to study or had given up on studying. However, for the students in Star City Junior High School, it was difficult to catch up with the progress even if they were to miss a day of classes, let alone a week of classes. "Yunju, go and apologize to Mr. Zhao of Class 1. It's not your fault. You did it because of Duan Li from Class 1. This punishment will follow you for the rest of your life. It will destroy you. Come with me to the office to clear things up. My dad knows the principal. Can you cross off the penalty?" Yen Tong stood. Was standing as he stood. Yunju who was standing as he Yen. Step. Yunju packed his bag and pushed Yen away. He slung his bag over his shoulder and strode out of the classroom. Come on, he only has his wife in his heart. Yen Tong, where do you think you're going? Ha ha ha. Seeing this, the two male students at the top of the class jeered again. Yen was furious. Class time. Duan Li had just walked out of the teacher's office after being scolded. She saw Yunju as she turned a corner. When Yunju, Duan Li, and Duanya were young, they had a lot of fun. However, when they grew up and reached puberty, Duanli and Yunju's temperament changed. Yunju was no longer as lively as before, calling Duanli chestnut. Even Duanli, who used to be very lively with Yunju, seemed to have realized the difference between men and women. She had been avoiding Yunju recently. Even Yunju did not know what he had done wrong. Why was Duanli avoiding him like the plague? You! Duanli was shocked when she saw Yunju standing there with his bag, but she quickly lowered her head. I'm sorry. Duanli apologized to Yunju. She was the one who caused Yunju to be punished for hitting the teacher and being suspended for a week. Yunju didn't respond to his apology. In Duanli's heart, Yunju was her brother. They had always been friends and family. Other than that, there was nothing else. Just when she felt that her brother was protecting her, her heart felt warm. Yunju, who was sitting opposite her, suddenly tossed her bag onto the ground. She strode forward and grabbed Duanli's head without any warning. She bent down and kissed Duanli fiercely as if she was going to swallow her whole. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations.